Hello everyone and BRE 100 Real Estate Principles. My name is Andrea Ginzo. I will be covering Chapter 7 of our textbook titled Property Management, Landlord, and Tenant. Chapter 7 introduced us to property management and the relationship between landlord, the lessor, and tenant, the lessee. It also explained what a lease was and a rental agreement and the four minimum requirements needed, such as the acronym LAND. Leaseholds and the types of estates were also discussed. Um, the rights and obligations of the parties involved in a lease or rental agreement are listed, as are the ways to terminate either. The chapter ended with the different types of property managers needed and the real estate license that may or may not be required to perform these duties. The first key concept that I learned from this chapter was a lease and the acronym LAND, which stands for the four requirements a lease or rental agreement are required to have. A lease is a contract for a set time, typically 1 year or longer. A rental agreement is a type of lease or agreement between tenant and landlord to possess and use the property for renewable periods of time, usually a month-to-month period. L is for the length of, or duration of the lease. A is for the amount of rent that is to be paid. N is for the names of the parties involved. D is for the description of the property. Um, the statute of frauds requires that any lease lasting longer than 1 year from the date of signing must be in writing. This is very important to know and to keep note of. The second key concept that I learned from this chapter was leaseholds and the four types of estates. A leasehold is an exclusive right to occupy and use a property on a temporary basis. The types of leasehold estates include an estate for years, an estate from period to period, an estate at will, and an estate at sufferance. An estate for years is a lease of predetermined amount of time. An estate from period to period is a periodic tenancy that can be renewed each period and involves a rental agreement. An estate at will is a lease that can be terminated at will by either party, but is uncommon in California. An estate of sufferance occurs when a lessee retains possession of the property after expiration of the term. The third concept that I learned from this chapter was about property managers and the real estate license that may or may not be required to manage a property. A property manager is a licensed real estate person paid by the owner to oversee the property management and operations of a rental or commercial property. Residential managers are tenants that live on the property who handle tenant complaints and maintain the premises. Um, this on-site resident manager does not need a real estate license to manage a property where he or she is living, but they do need a license to manage other properties. The property management agreement, or the PMA, is the written contract between the owner and the property manager. Very important to have. And in conclusion, Chapter 7 was a very interesting and informative chapter with a lot of new terminology like leases and leaseholds. I enjoyed reading about the concept of property management and the different types of property managers that are needed. The on-site residential manager position sounds like a career I would be interested in, aside from the real estate sales profession that I'm pursuing. I just want to thank all you guys, and I hope you all learned something new.